Howdy. Today we're talking about the new Arcanes that came out with Warframe 1999. I wanted to show them, hover over them in the game, but I don't know, it was kind of annoying trying to sort through and going back and forth. And I was too lazy to go and screenshot all the stuff, so you got to deal with some random thing on the internet because there's no images on the wiki yet. So we've instead found this article by Shack News from some dude named Aiden O'Brien. Hey, that's funny. Aiden's the name of my brother. Wow, I didn't realize that. I wanted to just briefly discuss the new Arcanes, and I have tested a couple of them and talk about that. Because some of them are pretty spicy. We've gotten several new Arcanes with the Warframe 1999 update. We got one for melee, one for primary, one for secondary, and 4 for our Warframe, I think, right? No, 5 for our Warframe. And they are going to actually change things a fair bit. So let's start with the Warframe ones, right? We'll go top down here. So Arcane Bellicose. All of these are at rank 5. Gain 6% ability strength for every 250 max health up to 72%. That is pretty good. It's constantly active as long as you have high max HP. To get the full benefit, you need 3000 max HP, which is very easy to do on any Warframe that you want to be building HP on anyways, for the most part, right? Like a Naros or Nidus or... what's the last one? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure there's another high HP Warframe, but that's not too hard to do. 3000 HP, and you'll get a permanent 72% strength increase. That's good. Not a lot of Warframes that can fully make use of this, but it is pretty nice. I mean, I guess you could maybe do some weird stuff on Wisp. I don't know, but overall, very nice. Not a lot of frames can make use of it, though. Arcane Truculence. When gaining 3000 or more 3000 or more overguard threshold, release a 30-meter radial attack that applies max viral status stacks. So I've tested this a little bit. It has no cooldown, so that's kind of insane. But you have to be able to gain overguard. Losing overguard cannot proc it, and if you already are at an overguard cap, like for whatever you're using to gain overguard, that source hits cap, and you try to gain more overguard, it's not going to be able to proc. So you need to be able to lose overguard and gain it back to get this consistently procking. So it's not going to work if you're not taking damage. That being said, in most high-end content, you are going to be taking damage a lot, so this will proc very easily, assuming you have a way to gain overguard very fast. We've got quite a few ways of doing that in the game, so this is going to be a very, very nice thing to do, because viral is pretty easy to get in the game from your companion, but if you don't get a bunch of viral from your companion, right, like if you use this, you can use one arcane to completely free up your companion, assuming you were using that purely for the viral purposes. So that in the current meta, where sandbox, where a lot of the companions are very, very overpowered, it's gonna be pretty nice. Arcane Impetus. Unique status effects from abilities grant 6% ability strength and 3% ability efficiency for 20 seconds. And there are, 10 unique statuses, not counting like Tau or Void, because those are not going to really be consistent, right? There's only a couple ways to get those. So 10 not counting Tau and Void, which means that'll go up to 60% ability strength and 30% ability efficiency. Not very many frames are going to be able to get all the stacks from this. Honestly, there's only a couple that, off the top of my head, that you would be able to use this. Lavos is not one of them. Lavos can apply a lot of different statuses, yes, but this needs to be ability specifically, and he can only have like 1 or 2 statuses from an ability at a time. So trying to keep this, all the different statuses up at all the time, that's going to be a real pain in the ass. But other than him, the 2 main that I can think of are Kome and Varuna. Kome, because, sorry I keep yawning so much, I'm very tired. Kome, because, I mean, come on, it's Kome. She applies like every status in the game. She will very easily be able to keep this up at 10 stacks. The ability strength and ability efficiency, though, isn't very useful. Strength on her is borderline worthless unless you're doing some funny nuke stuff. And efficiency, she doesn't struggle with energy at all, or at least like when I play her, I've never had energy issues. I never even get close to running out of energy. So even though it works on Kome, it's honestly going to be pretty much worthless most of the time. And then the other one, Varuna, because Varuna can apply a bunch of statuses with her Fangs of Rocks, I think it is. And you can spread those statuses by killing the dude. So she can probably get this to 10 stacks pretty consistently, I'd say. And ability strength, it does help on her. Ability efficiency is pretty worthless on Varuna. She doesn't struggle for energy at all. Just slap equilibrium on, plus her third ability, I can't remember what it's called, and you will never run out of energy. It doesn't matter if you have like negative 5 billion efficiency, you'll never run out of energy. So long as you're getting kills, that is. Dang it, what just happened? What? Oh, sorry, I backed out of the page for some reason. Yeah, the strength, it's the same strength bonus on average as you'll be getting from Molt Augmented, so it's basically just you don't have to wait to build up Molt Augmented. So kind of nice, I guess, but it could get better in the future with other frames. Arcane Kamisato. Attacks from summoned minions increase ability strength by 6% up to 60%, and summons gain 20% movement speed. This is another one that I tested. It is interesting, but unfortunately, it's a little bit strict what it means by summons. So summons means it has to be summoned by the frame. You can't use mind control. So mind control on Nyx does not work. The weird take over the people's minds with Revenants, his one, then Thrall, does not work. Radiation procs do not work. So it doesn't, it has to be like, they have to come from the frame. So Necros is 4, that works. Chroma's 4 should work. Caliban, his sentient dudes work. For frames that it does work on, it is going to be pretty nice though. 60% strength, and notice how it doesn't say there's a duration. That 60% strength is permanent. All you gotta do is have your dudes attack 10 times and bam, there you go, permanent extra strength for the rest of the mission. And the 20% movement speed is also just permanent. It's always active. You don't have to have that build up. So it's going to have extremely high uptime for very little effort. I'm really going to like this on Chroma, and it's assuming it works. I did test it on like Necros and Caliban. I did it on Chroma, but if this works with Chroma's 4, then if you keep his 4 and you subsume his 1 off instead, this will just be 60% strength. It's like Molt Augmented, but you don't have to like wait forever to build up. Just cast your 4 at the start of the mission, shoot a couple dudes with it, and then bam, you got 6% strength. Huge. Arcane Crepuscular. I'm butchering these names. While invisible, gain 30% ability strength and a 3x final crit multiplier. I don't have this one, so I didn't test it. I'm going to assume final crit multiplier is the same in how it states it from Tenacious Bond. That's the only other scenario or like instance in the game where I can think of that they use the specific phrase final critical multiplier. And what it means on Tenacious Bond when they say that is it's just a flat 1.2 crit damage onto the crit multiplier of your weapons. So it's likely going to be the same as that. I use the word so way too much. 3x crit multiplier is pretty good. It's going to benefit weapons more that have low crit multipliers. So like a weapon with a 10x crit multiplier isn't going to get a very big benefit from this. I mean, 30% is still nice, but it's not like insane. The ability strength is pretty good too, depending on if the frame it can make use of it or not. If you subsume something on that can use strength, this could actually be a very big buff to Loki, because Loki's always invis, right? Loki, Ashe, Ivara, Octavia, because, you know, Octavia needed a buff. Sight, one of the new frames, because of Sight's helmet being his invis, you can now make any frame go invis, so you can make use of this on literally any Warframe if you do that, so that's pretty funny. A very, very good arcane. I think this is going to be one of the best of all of them, if not the best of all of them. Primary Crux, going on to the weapon arcades. This one is a little weird. On weak point hits, gain 30% status chance and 6% ammo efficiency for 10 seconds. Stacks up to 10 times. So you just hit their weak point, so most of the time a headshot. And you're going to be able to get up to 300% status chance and 60% ammo efficiency. The ammo efficiency is worthless on any Incarnon weapon, literally any Incarnon, because Incarnons can't use ammo efficiency, but 300% status chance is still very respectable. Very, very respectable. That's a lot of status chance. That's the equivalent of the status chance from 5 60 mods. That's a lot of status. I think this is going to be interesting and useful on a few weapons. Not like amazing, but on a few weapons it can be pretty good. The secondary one, another one of the ones that I tested because I actually managed to get it. On hits, increase crit chance by 10%. Resets after 6 super critical hits. Secondary interface. I didn't say the full name, right? It's a secondary arcane. All you have to do is get a hit. Does not have to be a critical hit. Resets after 6 super critical hits. What it means is a orange crit or higher. So anything that's above a normal critical hit. And the increases crit chance by 10% is huge. Huge, okay? Because it's flat crit chance, like Arcane Avenger, which is kind of wacky that that's a thing. Okay, that's gonna be, it's really freaking juicy for new core. Something I forgot to test with it is I'm not sure if this can benefit from multi-shot. Like, will multi-shot build it up faster? Because I did use it on a beam weapon, and because beam weapons don't have multiple shots for multi-shot, obviously it does not build up faster with multi-shot. But I forgot to try this on a normal weapon that isn't a beam. I'm gonna assume it does probably, but there are some other arcanes on secondaries specifically that cannot proc on multi-shot, or at least not proc multiple times if you have multi-shot. That will require a bit of further testing. Still a very interesting arcane that's going to be very strong on quite a few weapons, I'd say, especially, again, the new core. The new core has huge crit multiplier and non-existent crit chance. So with this, you can just slap this on as the arcane and then completely ignore building crit chance and just a bunch of crit damage. And you'll be able to get quite a few critical hits with this. And the last one, Melee Doughty. Gain 1.0 crit multiplier for every 10% of puncture status chance on your melee weapon. What it means by puncture status specifically is if you go into your weapon and you hover over a specific element or damage type, it will show the status chance of that, because it's the status chance and then it's divided out by the weapon's damage weighting, right? The elemental weighting of the different damage types. So if you have 500 puncture, 500 impact, and 100% status chance, you'll have 50% puncture status chance. I think this is weird. It's really not going to be valuable most of the time, because let's say you have 100% puncture status chance. Puncture is not that great. I think, okay, puncture is a good status. I honestly don't even think it needs reworked at all or buffed. It's good just as it is. As like a base elements or damage type on a weapon, but you don't want it to be the only thing, right? You just want a couple because it gives flat crit chance. You don't want just puncture. And having high puncture, like the higher the puncture, the more you get out of this, is pretty much worthless, because you're giving up building into something else like electric or gas or blast. It's not pretty much ever going to come out with more damage by building puncture and using this arcane than it is to just build one of the statuses. That's not dog shit for dealing damage. So I really think this one's going to be probably worthless unless it's like bugged in some funny way. It's not really gonna do much for any weapons I can at least think of off the top of my head. Overall, a lot of interesting arcanes. These are some of the most interesting, unique arcanes that we've ever gotten, I think. Especially like the summoned one and the secondary enervate one. Very, very cool. And I'm eager to see what people can do with them and what kind of builds we can come up with, right? So, because apparently so is half my vocabulary now. I don't know why. I guess it's because I'm tired. That's going to do it, though. Those are all the new arcanes. If you have any cool ideas, leave them in the comments. Any thoughts at all in general. Yeah, that's it. Adios.